Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in Sophomore English. We are in the MyPerspectives volume number 1. We are in Unit 3. We are on page 308. We are working with Malala Yousafzai's speech at the United Nations. Yousafzai, one of the most important young voices, speaking specifically about the importance of education. Now, we are in Unit 3, as we said, which topic is extending freedom's reach. And already I want you to point out for your notes that this is going to be a very controversial moment in history as it relates to the question, who should be free to have an education? Now guys, we have a tendency, of course, to kind of think about the rest of the world as just like us, and especially it relates to education. Well, surely everyone gets to have a good education. I mean, it shouldn't have anything to do with, for example, your skin color or the amount of money that you have or whether you're a guy or a girl. None of that should matter as it relates to education. Yousafzai, however, lived a tough one and a challenging experience because as a young girl, she wanted an education and she was first of all told, absolutely not. And in fact, she almost lost her life. And in that regards, we're going to pay attention to the background information that starts on page 309, then as well on page 308. So let's work through it again. Our level 1, I want you to be able to summarize at level 2A. What are the primary themes or messages of this speech at the United Nations? At 2B, not what she says, but how she says it. Notice again, this is a speech. It's not to be read, it's to be heard. Obviously, we're reading it today, but the reality is we want to pay attention to how is this a speech that will try to capture the attention of those listening. So for example, notice sentence length. We played this same game, by the way, when we did the freedom speech of FDR. Notice some of the lines short, some of the lines long. Okay? Notice the word pictures that she plays with as well. And the tone here. Notice it isn't a vindictive or nasty tone, especially given what had recently happened to Yousafzai. It's very possible that she could have come out and been really nasty, and she wasn't. She carried a spirit of inclusivity that we want to pay attention to. Obviously at 3A, well, we mentioned the speech of FDR, and we want to pay attention to the other titles in Unit 3. And then finally, I'm very hopeful that a study like this will challenge you to think about your own education and the blessing that you have in gaining an education, no matter who you are. Let's begin with some background information first.
Speech at the United Nations by Malala Yousafzai.
Page 309.
Speech. Background. The Taliban emerged following the defeat and withdrawal of Russian forces from Afghanistan in the early 1990s. The Taliban's mission is to restore its interpretation of strict Sharia, or Islamic law,
Mark it,
which calls for such things as banning music, covering the faces of women, and forbidding school for girls.
Mark it.
By the time Malala Yousafzai was growing up in northern Pakistan, the Taliban were a major force in her area. About the speaker,
308.
Malala Yousafzai, born 1997, was born and raised in the Swat Valley of Pakistan. In 2007, the area was invaded by the Taliban, a radical Islamist group. When the Taliban outlawed education for girls, Yousafzai spoke out, becoming a highly visible advocate. For this reason, when she was just 15 years old,
Mark it,
a member of the Taliban shot her in the head. Miraculously, she recovered. Since then, she has spoken publicly about universal education and gender equality. In 2014, she became the youngest person ever awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
Mark it.
Speech at the United Nations
Page 309.
by Malala Yousafzai. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Honorable UN Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon, respected President of the General Assembly Vuk Yeremik, Honorable UN Envoy for Global Education Mr. Gordon Brown, respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters.
Mark it.
Today, it is an honor for me to be speaking again after a long time. Being here with such honorable people is a great moment in my life.
Page 310.
I don't know where to begin my speech. I don't know what people would be expecting me to say. But first of all, thank you to God, for whom we all are equal. And thank you to every person who has prayed for my fast recovery and a new life. I cannot believe how much love people have shown me. I have received thousands of good wish cards and gifts from all over the world. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to the children, whose innocent words encouraged me.
Mark it.
Thank you to my elders, whose prayers strengthened me. I would like to thank my nurses, doctors, and the staff of the hospitals in Pakistan and the UK, and the UAE government, who have helped me get better and recover my strength. I fully support Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General, in his Global Education First initiative, and the work of the UN Special Envoy, Mr. Gordon Brown. And I thank them both for the leadership they continue to give. They continue to inspire all of us to action.
The intro is over.
Dear brothers and sisters, do remember one thing. Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights. There are hundreds of human rights activists and social workers who are not only speaking for their rights, but who are struggling to achieve their goals of peace, education, and equality.
Circle the word struggling.
Thousands of people have been killed by the terrorists, and millions have been injured. I am just one of them. So here I stand, one girl among many.
Mark it.
I speak, not for myself, but for all girls and boys. I raise up my voice, not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard.
Mark it.
Those who have fought for their rights, their right to live in peace, their right to be treated with dignity, their right to equality of opportunity, their right to be educated.
Mark that.
Dear friends, on the 9th of October 2012, the Taliban shot me on the left side of my forehead. They shot my friends too. They thought that the bullets would silence us, but they failed.
Mark it.
And then, out of that silence came thousands of voices. The terrorists thought that they would change my aims and stop my ambitions. But nothing changed in my life except this. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died.
Mark it.
Strength, power, and courage were born. I am the same Malala. My ambitions are the same. My hopes are the same. My dreams are the same. Dear sisters and brothers, I am not against anyone. Neither am I here to speak in terms of personal revenge against the Taliban or any other terrorist group. I am here to speak up for the right of education of every child.
Mark it.
I want education for the sons and daughters of the Taliban and all terrorists and extremists.
Page 311.
I do not even hate the Talib who shot me. Even if there is a gun in my hand and he stands in front of me, I would not shoot him.
Mark it.
This is the compassion that I have learned from Muhammad, the prophet of mercy, Jesus Christ, and Lord Buddha. This is the legacy of change that I have inherited from Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. This is the philosophy of nonviolence that I have learned from Gandhi Ji, Bacha Khan, and Mother Teresa. And this is the forgiveness that I have learned from my father and mother. This is what my soul is telling me. Be peaceful and love everyone.
Mark it. Page
Dear
312.
sisters and brothers, we realize the importance of light when we see darkness. We realize the importance of our voice when we are silenced. In the same way, when we were in Swat, the north of Pakistan, we realized the importance of pens and books when we saw the guns.
Mark it.
The wise saying, "The pen is mightier than the sword," was true. The extremists were, and they are, afraid of books and pens.
Mark that.
The power of education frightens them. They are afraid of women. The power of the voice of women frightens them. And that is why they killed 14 innocent students in the recent attack in Quetta. And that is why they killed female teachers and polio workers in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Fata. That is why they are blasting schools every day. Because they were, and they are, afraid of change.
Mark it.
Afraid of the equality that we will bring into our society. I remember that there was a boy in our school who was asked by a journalist, "Why are the Taliban against education?" He answered very simply. By pointing to his book, he said, "A Talib doesn't know what is written inside this book." They think that God is a tiny, little, conservative being who would send girls to hell just because of going to school. The terrorists are misusing the name of Islam and Pashtun society for their own personal benefits. Pakistan is a peace-loving, democratic country. Pashtuns want education for their daughters and sons. And Islam is a religion of peace, humanity, and brotherhood. Islam says that it is not only each child's right to get education, rather, it is their duty and responsibility. Honorable Secretary General, peace is necessary for education.
Mark it.
In many parts of the world, especially Pakistan and Afghanistan, terrorism, wars, and conflict stop children to go to their schools. We are really tired of these wars. Women and children are suffering in many ways in many parts of the world. In India, innocent and poor children are victims of child labor. Many schools have been destroyed in Nigeria. People in Afghanistan have been affected by the hurdles of extremism for decades. Young girls have to do domestic child labor and are forced to get married at early age. Poverty, ignorance, injustice, racism, and the deprivation of basic rights are the main problems faced by both men and women.
Mark that.
Dear fellows, today I am focusing on women's rights and girls' education because they are suffering the most.
Mark it.
There was a time when women's social activists asked men to stand up for their rights.
Page 313.
But this time, we will do it by ourselves. I am not telling men to step away from speaking for women's rights. Rather, I am focusing on women to be independent, to fight for themselves.
Mark it.
Dear sisters and brothers, now it's time to speak up. So today, we call upon the world leaders to change their strategic policies in favor of peace and prosperity. We call upon the world leaders that all the peace deals must protect women's and children's rights. A deal that goes against the rights of women is unacceptable. We call upon all governments to ensure free, compulsory education all over the world for every child.
Mark it.
We call upon all governments to fight against terrorism and violence, to protect children from brutality and harm. We call upon the developed nations to support the expansion of educational opportunities for girls in the developing world. We call upon all communities to be tolerant, to reject prejudice based on caste, creed, sect, color, religion, or gender.
Mark it.
To ensure freedom and equality for women so that they can flourish. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back.
Mark that.
We call upon our sisters around the world to be brave,
Courage.
to embrace the strength within themselves, and realize their full potential. Dear brothers and sisters, we want schools and education for every child's bright future. We will continue our journey to our destination of peace and education. No one can stop us. We will speak up for our rights, and we will bring change through our voice. We believe in the power and the strength of our words. Our words can change the whole world.
Mark it.
Because we are all together, united for the cause of education. And if we want to achieve our goal, then let us empower ourselves with the weapon of knowledge, and let us shield ourselves with unity and togetherness. Dear brothers and sisters, we must not forget that millions of people are suffering from poverty, injustice, and ignorance. We must not forget that millions of children are out of schools. We must not forget that our sisters and brothers are waiting for a bright, peaceful future. So let us wage a global struggle against illiteracy, poverty, and terrorism. Let us pick up our books and pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Education is the only solution. Education first. Thank you.
So one of the things that makes Yousafzai just a powerful statement is the way in which she will bring everyone together. So let's begin at level 1. Summarize really quickly, how is this an inclusive speech? It brings all of the peoples together to say we can do this together. Did you see the repetition on page 313? Paragraph 24, starting at paragraph 24. We call, we call, we call. You see it over and over again. It will remind us at 3A of what Martin Luther King Jr. does at the end of the I Have a Dream speech, where he keeps coming back to the same idea. We're all in this together. We're all going to have to unify. We've got to cooperate because our ultimate goal is education, which obviously takes us to 2A. This is really the point of the speech, isn't it? It's a speech that says education is the key. Notice at the very end, one more time, she says education is the only solution. Education first. One child, one teacher, one book. By the way, go back and study the trinities of this over and over again. And one pen can change the world. In other words, it isn't about bombs. We can't win this war, she says, by killing everyone. We have to use our education, use our minds. Of course, at 2B, again, the repetitions, just go back and study the repetitions. Also, do notice that she begins and she ends with referencing to her faith in Islam, as she will argue it a religion of peace, she says. In other words, we do not believe that God is tiny. She says in paragraph 19, they think that God is a tiny little conservative being who would send girls to hell just because of going to school. The terrorists are misusing the name of Islam. And again, this is a powerful tool, right? To include herself in the community of Muslims and Islam itself, but at the same time to argue that she is for full education and full understanding of all peoples. At 3A, well, so many classic speeches come to mind here. Obviously, we can think about, for example, Mandela's classic, she mentions Mandela in her own speech, his classic inauguration speech when he became president of South Africa. Go back and take a look at our study there. Finally, to end our study, what are your thoughts about your own education? If this text does anything for you, and I think it should do a lot of things for you, it challenges you to consider the power of your own education. You mustn't think of your education as simply your schooling, as the great Mark Twain pointed out. And in that regards, what is the power and value of the education that you are receiving? Do you think it is true that education is the only solution to the problems of the world? And therefore, education, your education, all of our educations, must be first. Thank you.